video on making a flatbread that feels more like a pancake mix actually. So I can't pronounce it because I'm rubbish. I'm even rubbish with my own language. But it's a Jewish flatbread. Yemenite? I don't know. But anyway, so I thought I'd have a go at it because I need to do something with my sourdough starter, and the way it turned out, it looked like a crumpet, like the big kind of air pockets in the pancake stroke flatbread. So I thought, that'd be kind of quite nice. We'll have a go at making that. So I've got 100 grams worth of my sourdough starter. So my sourdough starter is 50% flour, 50% water. So we've taken that into consideration because normally you use yeast in the recipe, dried yeast, but I'm obviously using my sourdough starter, so it will taste better because of it. And because there's 50 grams worth of flour in that starter, I put 450 grams worth of flour in the jug that I'm going to mix it all in, and I'll put in a teaspoon of, half a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of sugar in. And then in here we've got 300 grams worth of water, taking into consideration that we've got 50 grams, so milliliters of water already in the sourdough starter. So, and then I've got a backup 50 grams worth of water, just to kind of see if we can get the recipe kind of right. Now I'm making it at night time, because it's going to need time to rise, improve. So I'm making it at night time, so hopefully it'll be ready for tomorrow morning. I'm going to leave it in the fridge overnight. I'm not going to, I think it's going to need all the water. I'm not going to leave it out, so I think it'll just overflow. Doesn't look like that kind of consistency. No, I think it needs all that liquid. It might even need more liquid in than that. But we can always add a little bit more liquid tomorrow, because what happens with flour is mixing liquids into flour. There's an absorption time. I shouldn't have used a whisk because it's made a right old mess in my whisk, hasn't it? I forgot. So there's an absorption time. So, and I think when people talk about making doughs and making batters, that you should let them rest. I think what you're actually, people kind of give the idea that it gives it time to relax, and the gluten in the batter or the dough or the pastry to relax. And I don't think it's that. I think the little bit of a resty time actually gives the flour time to absorb the water that you've added to it. I think it's much more about that. Now I found that out through making bread, that it's a good job I can carry on talking, isn't it? So I made a right mess of that. So I found that out through making bread, but what we do is we make lots of noise while we're talking, is we add the liquid to the flour and then we'll let it sit for an hour, and then that's then the dough completely hydrate with the liquid, and therefore you can actually mix more liquid into a batter. That's made a right mess of that, isn't it? Do that over there. I think we're going to need, or maybe we won't. Let's just remember, let's get right down to the bottom. Let's just remember how much liquid we put in that, and then we'll leave it in the fridge overnight, and then we'll kind of see what happens. That might actually be the right kind of consistency, that we just drop it into a pan with a bit of oil. I'm going to break all the rules and use probably a bit of lard. Actually no, I've got some chicken fat. I think chicken fat's a completely Jewish thing, isn't it? Like they do love a bit of chicken fat in Jewish recipes, so I think we'll use some chicken fat. But otherwise I got some delicious lard. I shouldn't really be using lard in Jewish recipes, should we? But anyway, so we'll leave. That's mixed enough. We'll see what it's like in the morning. We'll have a go. If we feel like we have to add a little bit more liquid, we will do. However, so I will have a little bit of a complaint about the internet, because I find that lots of recipes want to be in cups, especially if they're American in origin. And I think like cups are a different size, aren't they? So what's the size of a cup, you know? And if you're saying, well, a cup size is X number of millilitres, then why aren't we just using millilitres or fluid ounces? And then I looked at another recipe, and it was it missed out the amount of water you put in. So the recipe that I originally saw was just short of equal quantities of flour and liquid. But we'll see. It's risen. But I did a little bit of research, and that's too thick. So let's put in another 100 millilitres of, 100 grams worth of water. Just something to stir, which is going to be best. Maybe not the whisk, maybe the spoon to get it going. And I'm not cooking them, it's like almost 24 hours later. Oh, it's going to need more liquid than that. Let's put in another 100 millilitres. We might just need to leave it overnight. Once it's risen, I think that's it'll be fine. It certainly needs more in. The only danger now is that we're activating the gluten in the flour too much, which might be a problem since we're using my sourdough starter. Because it's slow proving, it tends to activate the gluten, make it stretchy in things in flour, even if you don't need it. So normally you need things to get the gluten start to be stretchy, but because of the slow fermentation of a sourdough starter, that starts happening naturally. So that's why you don't need a sourdough starter as much. You don't need to move it around as much. So it's risen, so it'll got bags of flavour in it. Let's leave that overnight, and then we'll cook that for breakfast tomorrow morning. It probably needs a little bit more liquid, but we'll see tomorrow. We can always add a little bit more and not knock the camera. That's okay. Right, we'll see what that's like in the morning. Pan is hot. The batter could probably do to be a bit thinner, but we'll give it a go. We can always add a little bit more liquid. Very difficult to take liquid out of these type of things. So yeah, I've committed that cardinal sin, and I am using lard. So move around. I think it wants to be quite a lot of pancake batter, stroke bread batter in there, and then turn up, and then cook gently. It's already getting the big bubbles, isn't it? Which is what we want. So that's good. That's good. So gently cook it. I think we just cook it on one side, but we'll see how we go. So that's working, isn't it? That's turned out how it's supposed to. I've probably put too much in, to be honest. It smells nice and yeasty, which obviously it would do because it's got my sourdough starter in it. So we'll see how that turns out. I might have to flip it over. It's looking good, but we'll cook it gently and we'll see what happens. I think obviously what fat we cook it in will improve the kind of flavour. So if we're just going to use oil or butter, well, just going to use oil, kind of quite a neutral flavour. Butter, nicer, but we run the risk of burning butter. But then like lard or chicken fat or beef dripping, some kind of animal fat, much nicer, much nicer. But it's going okay. So the bottom's cooked and the top has cooked. I think we're supposed to leave it like that. So turn off, and then I won't make a mess of the board. Put it on the plate. We'll see how it turns out. I've just put an extra bit of fat in it, in the pan. That looks alright, isn't it? That looks alright, is that? It's certainly crunchy and then soft, so the outside's going to be good. The outside's delicious. And then it's just like lovely and soft. That's lovely, it's not. That's good. Hold it over and cook it on that side. And we get a see what it's like then. There we go, so it's just taken that raw kind of edge off it. Nice and crispy. Crispy bottom and then fluffy on top. Oh, lovely. Tempted to kind of make them sweet. Tempted to make them sweet. But that's lovely, is that? That'd be really nice as a wrap. Success.